What's up, Wizards? It's Mooner, and I wanted to bring you guys a really quick update on my Blitz Emperor deck. This is a small little deck tech, just a little update on my list, and this is relevant for Skirmish Season 7, going into it with the mindset of we get access to a transformative sideboard and one extra card for our inventory. So if you don't know, you can now have 52 cards in your deck. Of those 52 cards, as many as you want can be included in your inventory, and you can include more than 40 cards in your deck that you present to your opponent, but it can't be any less than 40 cards. So for instance, you can run just 4 pieces of equipment and have the other 8 slots be dedicated totally to your sideboard, and you can run all of those 8 slots in your deck if you want, but you have to run at least 40 cards in your deck. You can run more. You can run 41, 42, 43, it doesn't matter. And this is all a change that you guys should all be familiar with now, but I wanted to go over how I approached this little sideboarding experiment with Emperor. So I do still think Emperor is a fantastic pick for this Skirmish season if you can dodge Kano. Kano is by far our worst matchup. Having access to only red cards means that it's incredibly difficult for us to prevent arcane damage that comes from Kano. But I do think that Emperor is a fantastic dark horse pick. If you know that you can possibly dodge some Kano, you might be the only wizard at your Skirmish this season. And I also think that Emperor has a slightly better Prism, both Prism 1 and New Prism matchup than Kano does. So that could be an edge that you decide to choose for a reason to pick Emperor this season. Whatever your reason is, I just wanted to show off this deck a little bit. This is my completely foiled out Emperor deck. That's why I wanted to do this deck tech this way instead of like the the February way. But I wanted to show off my blingy Emperor completely foiled out deck and give you my sideboarding update tips and how I approach the matchups and things like that. First of all, let's get into the equipment. So we have Emperor, obviously, and then we have our little Spellbane Aegis token, because we are running 2 weapons, and those weapons are either Jubilee Spellbane or Waning Moon. Waning Moon is going to be your primary weapon that comes into every single matchup except for the matchups that you expect to deal a lot of arcane, i.e. Kano. So Jubio only comes in for Kano. Having access to that one Spellbane Aegis token does really go a long way in preserving your life and possibly being able to survive his kill turn and live. But other than that, you want to be bringing Waning Moon into every single matchup for the combo. Then we have Stormstriders, Flamescale Furnace. These are the only boots and the only chess piece that I run and that you should be running in this deck. They are what enable the deck to work the way it does. In our arm slot, we have either Braveforge Bracers or Metacarpus Node. Braveforge Bracers is going to come in for those matchups that you want to preserve your life and you need the extra block. Metacarpus Node is going to come in to those matchups that you think that you need to that you think you can get away with having less block and you want your kill range to go from 9 to 10. That is pretty much what Metacarpus Node is there for. Then for our helmet, we either have Arcanite Skullcap or Spellfray Tiara. Now you'll notice in this deck that there is a lack of Alluvian Constellus, and that is because I think that the Kano matchup is so bad that it's not needed. You're never going to get enough value out of Alluvian Constellus. That game is not going to go on long enough for you to get enough counters on there to make it worthwhile. So I think in the Kano matchup, you just want to be running your Spellfray Tiara, your Striders, your Flamescale Furnace, and your Metacarpus Node, and run Jubilee and hope. Pray and hope. You want to go second in that matchup, and you want to try to get lucky. That's just pretty much all there is to it. That's all the equipment that I have in this deck. So let's get into the rest of the main deck, and I have it broken down into sections. So this is the attack section. These are all the attack actions, starting with Nimblism, just to boost up your attacks. Every attack in this deck, except for Command and Conquer, can be boosted by Nimblism. So that's a really great way to both turn on your Furnace and just to be able to just boost up your attacks a little bit. We have one Phoenix Flame in the deck because, as you'll see, we are running something. But then we have 2 copies of Ravenous Rabble, always coming in for 4 with Go Again. We have 2 copies of Scar for a Scar. You're started at a lower life, so this is almost always 0 for 4 Go Again. Then we have 2 copies of Blaze Headlong, just a 0 for 4 Go Again, one of the best ones in the game. As long as you play a red card beforehand, so like Nimblism and the Blaze Headlong. Then we have 2 copies of Mischievous Meeps. I think this card is really cool. I've had a lot of fun playing with this card at locals. I really like this card. It's a must block. In those matchups like Dash and other matchups that you really need to strip cards out of your opponent's hand, Mischievous Meeps is a great way to do that. Nimblism and Mischievous Meeps is guaranteed to get 2 cards out of your opponent's hand. Then we have 2 copies of Give and Take. 2 copies of Flame Call Awakening. Now this is for the Phoenix Flame, the single Phoenix Flame that I have in the deck. And then we have 2 copies of Life for a Life, which I think is one of the best attacks in the deck. Being able to gain you a life, always get Go Again if you're at a lower life. It's just a 1 for 4 Go Again that gains you a life, so that's super strong. Then we have 2 copies of Enlightened Strike. This is a staple. This is also one of the best cards in the game. Every mode in this Enlightened Strike is relevant. To round it out with our Chain Enders, we have 2 copies of Snatch and 2 copies of Coax and Commotion. And then we do have 2 copies of Command and Conquer, because what's the fun in playing Emperor if you're not playing with Command and Conquer? And then the last card I have in the attack section is 1 copy of Censor. I'm not sure that this card is worthy of actually making the deck. I've only been playing this deck in paper at my locals, and I've really liked Censor a lot. Just being able to end the chain, if you have that ability to pay for it with a Censor, just in naming Oasis Respite or naming something like that, it's really powerful, really strong against certain heroes. Just being able to name like Sigil of Solace or Oasis Respite or something like that, and they can't play it, and they can't just goon you on your combo kill. But these are all the attacks in the deck. And then next I want to go over the spells. So for the spells, I have 1 copy of Prognosticate, I have 2 copies of Sap, I have 1 copy of Reverberate, 2 copies of Aether Quickening, I have 2 copies of Voltic Bolt, I have 2 copies of Swell Tidings, and last but not least, I have 2 copies of Emeritus Scalding, and this is for your combo. So if you're not familiar with the combo, what you want to do is you want to get your opponent to either 9 or 10 life, depending on if you're running Metacarpus Node. If you're running Metacarpus Node, it can be 10. If you're not running Metacarpus Node, it's going to be 9. You want to get your Emeritus Scalding into Arsenal, and then you want to play your Emeritus Scalding, pitch your whole hand to Furnace, get 4 resources, Waning Moon them for 3, Emeritus Scalding them for 9, for 6, that's 9 damage, 10 if you pump the Emeritus Scalding with Metacarpus Node. So I think for matchups that you expect high AB, you want to bring in more attacks, and I think I expect matchups that you expect less AB and more armor, you want to bring in more Arcane. That's just the way I've been playing it. And then lastly, we have our protection or our defense package. And for our defense package, we have 2 copies of Sink Below. We have 2 copies of Brush Off. This is really good against Kano and other wizards and other heroes that present arcane damage like Chain and things like that. Just being able to cover up like a significant amount of arcane damage just with 1 card. It's essentially another 2 copies of Sigil of Solace. So, and then last but not least, we have 1 copy of Oasis Respite. Now this is also for the Kano matchup. So this is one way to actually live through the Kano matchup, is by playing Oasis Respite when he goes to break his boots and kill you, pitching, maybe getting lucky and having a Brush Off as well, pitching the Flamescale Furnace to get some resources, AB everything that you possibly can, use your spell Fray Tiara, and hopefully live, so that next turn Kano is left with no armor and no AB, he has broken all his armor, and then you can finish him off with Arcane of your own. That has been the only way I've been able to beat Kano, but your best bet is to just dodge him. But if you're feeling cheeky and you do face off a Kano and you want to take this deck to a skirmish, Oasis Respite is in there to help you do that. Alright guys, so those are all my changes. This list is now a 44 card main deck, so you can either run all 44 cards or you can take out 4 cards depending on whether you're facing matchups you expect high AB, bring in more attacks. If you're expecting less AB, bring in more arcane. If you're expecting to get fatigued out by like a Bravo or somebody like that who's just gonna pitch the AB and block out everything, just bring in all 44 cards. Alright guys, I've got some gameplay videos of Emperor that I have just posted today. Check those out just to see some of the play lines, and stay tuned because we have reached that critical threshold of subscribers where I am giving away this mat. I am giving away this signed Mark Poole. I have 2 of them I'm going to give away, but just for now I'm going to give away 1. I'm just going to figure out how I'm going to do that real quick, so stay tuned for the Waning Moon mat giveaway. And thanks for all the support. I love you guys. Keep wizarding, wizards, and peace out.